Right, first up today, it's the stuff of nightmares between April 2020 and July 2021. Former Hollyoaks actress Stephanie Davis was targeted by a stalker.
Yeah, what started off with a stream of messages online soon escalated to Stephanie being tormented at her home. This is the moment she sees her stalker at night dropping off some unwanted gifts on her doorstep.
No! No, I'm gonna be sick! Petrifying me, Mum! No, let me record it! No, it's fine.
I've got it here now. You'll be called, love.
Oh my God! Ah!
And there's no flowers in his hand.
Oh no!
It's just come back out. Yeah, he's just come back from around the garden. 3 minutes later.
Oh, he's walking.
Oh, you can hear the distress there, can't you? Since last Friday, Stephanie has been able to sleep soundly again after her stalker was sentenced to 28 weeks in prison and issued with an indefinite restraining order.
Well, Stephanie joins us now alongside former celebrity bodyguard Simon Newton. Thank you both for coming. I mean, Stephanie, you can just hear that clip. It's hard to watch, actually. It's very, very uncomfortable. When did you first start to be worried that this was how your life was going to look?
It was March last year. It's horrible watching that back, you know, to hear it again. Yeah, it was March last year and there was daffodils left outside my drive, and that was like the first time it started, but I didn't think anything of it. And my little boy, Caben, seen them and said, "Oh, Mummy, daffodils, can we take them inside?" And I didn't think anything of it, so I let him put them in the plant pot when we got home. But then now, on reflection, I think if he was watching me, he's seen that as a sign of acceptance. Right. And then from there, it just carried on.
So how was he aware... I mean, obviously, see him on the telly and stuff, but aware of you? Was he following you on social media, or how did that bit start?
So...
Where did he get obsessed?
Yeah, it was the daffodils first. Didn't think anything of it. And then, obviously, the daffodils kept coming back. It was like a reoccurring thing. So then I started checking my Instagram messages, but I never really look in the requests. And then I started to see these fake accounts constant, but I can't even tell you how many accounts there were. And I blocked them, and he instantly make another one. And they were lengthy messages and quite disturbing. Yeah, so that's when I started to notice it all.
And like you said, the messages were disturbing, so we won't go into them fully, but the context of the messages, you were saying that he was convinced that he should be with you and you should be together and he could be a father for your son. And, I mean, that is really disturbing, isn't it?
Yeah, that... As soon as he mentioned Caben...
Of course.
And he left presents for Caben as well. And then my blood started to boil. And I was really scared. Obviously, I was a single mum, living at home on my own, petrifying. I had to leave my home where I live. That was our safe place with Caben. That was violated then. Because on that clip, at the end, actually, it's cut short, but I walk out and he was hiding around the side of the house.
Oh, goodness.
And I just think, if I wasn't with someone at the time, what would have happened?
So he was sent you 7-page letters, absolutely convinced that you were in a relationship.
Yeah.
Then you caught him on the CCTV and then had to move out.
Yeah. I had to move back to my mum's, so our whole routine with my son was disturbed. And in my mum's house is my brothers, my dad, my nan, because she's got dementia. So we were literally, I was like, where am I staying tonight? I was in bed with my mum one night. Yeah. With Caben in another bed the other night. It was horrible, you know, not just having to go back and forth to your home, getting your clothes. I was literally looking over my shoulder every time the wind blew and I was constantly just filled with anxiety.
I was going to ask you that. What does it do to your head?
Oh, terrible. Terrible. I think it definitely had a big impact on my mental health. I struggle with my mental health anyway. But when that happened, my anxiety was through the roof. I couldn't relax. I was constantly having panic attacks. I couldn't sleep. Every time I heard a noise, I was literally up, panicking. I kept checking on Caben. If he was in a different room to me, in my mum's house, wherever we were, I kept going in, panicking, but, imagining that he wasn't there, you know, going through them whole motions.
Horror. It's horror.
Oh, honestly, it was horrendous.
And when you're going through this, and this is freaky and this is scary and horrible, but you're a protector.
Yeah.
Because you're a mama.
Yeah.
So you're that instant sort of lioness.
Yeah.
You're scared, but you go into that mode too.
Yeah.
So I can understand just how disturbing it is. So so he writes letters and you receive lots of letters, but you say that he's quite clever with how he's doing this because he has gloves on when he's writing the letters. Is that right?
Yeah. So the police were taking it to check all the letters and in forensics, and there was no fingerprints on them because he'd wore gloves when he'd wrote them. And he had a blocker to the cameras on the street, so it had cut out when he'd walked past, so we couldn't even get a clear image.
Right.
It was, honestly, it was so... I felt like I was in The Bodyguard, honestly. It was literally like... It was living in a horror film.
How was he caught?
So one of the letters he messed up and he left a fingerprint, and from there, they obviously managed to get him and trace him. So, yeah.
Well, Alex Boston was sentenced to 28 weeks in prison at Sefton Complex Case Court in Bootle on Friday for stalking you from April 2020 to July 21. Court issued an indefinite restraining order which bans him from contacting you or approaching your home. Is that enough for you? Do you feel OK now?
I feel relieved. I slept for the first time in a long time. Still think it's going to take a while for that, you know, even when I was leaving my house yesterday. I've got like a rustly plant at the bottom of me drive, and it rustled again in the wind, and straight away I was like, that's going to take a while, I think. I think I'll always be looking over my shoulder for a while, but yeah, I'm relieved. I'm glad that, you know, justice has been done and
there's a bit of comfort in that, yeah.
Well, Simon Newton has joined us, a former bodyguard, owns a private security company. I mean, you've looked after the likes of Michael Jackson and Kendall Jenner, Rita Ora, Bella Hadid. The fine line between being a devoted fan and being a stalker and frightening the person that you are actually a fan of is it's a blurred line.
Yeah, I think, unfortunately, with stalkers, predominantly mental health is connected with, you know, with a die-hard fan, if you like, then probably not so much. Die-hard fans follow celebrities around the world. They give them nice gifts. They give them pictures of maybe themselves, but it's all done in a nice way, and they're just generally a fan. They want the best for them. If they do turn up in places they shouldn't and you ask them to go away, a die-hard fan will go away. They don't want to be a nuisance. They love the person they've come to see. And so they will listen, and they're very respectful like that. Obviously, with the stalker element, they might go away for a few minutes, but they'll soon pop up somewhere else.
And what would be, like, what's typical behaviour for a stalker? At what point do you get worried in this scenario?
As a bodyguard or as a victim, if you like?
Well, I suppose as a victim, you know, sometimes it's hard to... And this is, obviously, we're talking about this on a celebrity-facing, but now with social media, it's easy, you know, whether you're a celebrity or not, for someone to find out about your life and what you're doing and what your whereabouts are. What sort of behaviours should you look for if you think this might be happening to you?
I think it all depends on the stalker's actions in the first sense, but also on how you personally feel. Everybody reacts differently to these things. Everybody gets scared at some stage. Some get scared before others. Situation, maybe because they have a family, children, husband, wife that they feel like they protect. Maybe they don't feel so vulnerable themselves, but maybe they feel that, you know, it could trouble the family. So it all depends on quite a number of different things, really, as to what stage. But I think as soon as anyone has an inkling that they have a stalker, because maybe they've even seen that person twice in a place which is a bit unusual, it should be reported.
Right.
And I think that's the bottom line. You should start that process with the police to say that you're maybe not threatened at this stage, but you think maybe it's a bit abnormal, or you know, you're a little bit unhappy that you've seen this person in this place so many times. Maybe they're taking a little bit of an interest on the route you take your children to school, or maybe your house or your work, your place of work.
Not obviously celebrity, the rarefied air of all that, but you know, for everybody else, and we've had many people on the sofa who have been terrified by unwanted attention. How do you build up your case? Because the police are incredibly busy. I mean, maybe if you go to the police, you might get a crime number. Yeah. But then you want to start building up your evidence, don't you?
Yeah, and this is why it's important that you report it at the earliest possible opportunity with the police, and not just with police, with family, friends, with work colleagues. Safety in numbers. So the more people know that you may have a problem, obviously the more people can help. If your friends, family and everyone else don't know you've got a stalker, if you're out in the street, they can't spot anything for you. They can't say, I think this person's turning up for you. So it's very important to tell as many people, within your normal network of friends as much as possible, but equally to report it to the police in the very first instance.
You might be tempted to get something through the door and tear it up, but save everything, take screen grabs.
That's what I did.
You did that.
Yeah, logged everything, everything you get, every message. I screen grabbed, saved, logged the date, the time, and then just built up my own little case, basically.
Yeah.
And I never post on social media where I am. I've never done that anyway, being in the public eye, but I'll always post it after I've left, just so people can't
turn
turn
up.
up.
Smartest way. Yeah.
Thank you. I'm glad that's come to a happy conclusion for you, and you can get some sleep now in your own bed.
Yes,
which would be
finally.
Yeah,
good.
absolutely.
Thank you for coming in.
And
today.
love to Hammond too.
Yeah.
Thank you
very much.
Thank you.